Okay, here we go. It's all done. Pretty much completed. The only thing that I need to do is, as I mentioned in the previous video, is replace those console pieces on the inside that didn't have the print on them. So there's two in the carpet that's on kind of a wedge, I guess, versus a slope, or however you want to call it. Slope more around it. Anyways, and then there's something similar, but it's just flat tile pieces that go in here, and I'll show that to you in a moment. And here's the Luthen figure, and sorry, it's a bit in the shadows. I don't have the light coming from behind me as much as I should, because my light that does is it's not powered. Let me see, can I add power to it? Nah, forget it, I'm not going to reach for it. Anyways, we'll zoom up here for a moment. So Luthen, it's from one of the Andor sets, the attack on Ferrix or something like that. You know, it comes with the two guards, or police, I guess, Cyril, as well as Andor, and I think he has a speeder bike. But yep, just picked that up to be with this, obviously, and that's that. The main focus in here. Let me just try to back it out just a little bit. And it looks pretty good. I want to lift it up and show you. This is in its landed configuration, and the wings are up like this. And yeah, and it kind of plays into this feature here. I don't think you use this to push down to lift them up, although you probably could. I'm not sure how good an idea that is. I think it's sturdy enough, but we'll see. Otherwise, I would just lift it up from the arms that are holding it up from the side here. But this looks pretty good. Like, there's no landing gears per se. You just kind of set it down on these pieces here, and that will do. And that's fine. I think that's about the right kind of build you're going to get with a, I would say, you know, a playset version of a vehicle, which you can play. And this, you know, tries to get as close as you can to the details without being like necessarily one-to-one. If it was, this would obviously sit more people up front and be a heck of a lot larger. But I don't need that. You just need at least the one pilot, and there is some space inside. We'll take a look at that. But overall, see the outside. And this is the only other piece I didn't use. I'm going to get a replacement for this piece that goes, shouldn't have a hole in it, but it should be a solid kind of disc thing with the TIE fighter print, you know, what you would see, I believe, on the side of right in the middle of the wings where they meet, you know, those, I don't know, the framework, I guess, of the TIE fighter wing. For example, there's a little piece that I think goes around the middle, and then there's a little bit of a detail, and that goes in here, which I'm waiting to have that ordered. So we'll show the really complete thing when it's done, and when I replace the bricks on the inside, which I'll show you once again. But yeah, this looks pretty good. And you got like a clear blue up here, and here is kind of what it should be for, you know, any thrust power. Some nice detail here. I believe this is where it would pop open and or angle out or something and fire the countermeasures. I think that's where it came out from here in that episode where he's trying to escape that Imperial ship. I forgot the name of it, but you know if you know Andor season 1. And here we go. And I think they got like there's this little detail, like a little fin that's on this wing here that they got here, which I think they did pretty right. Let me see if I can bring in my my little scale model here. So here it is next to it for comparison, and you can see. Just get a closer look at this, and then you got some detail in here, the way this is. And of course, you can't get into all this stuff that's going on in there. Zoom up a little. blaster cannons. The way there's this round piece here, just make a mental note. Yet another kind of roundish thing here. This kind of shape going on right here. And notice how this opening into the whole surface is like this. And then it cuts open right about here. And you can kind of see what's going on here. I don't know how, if possible, I would add more greebling to this perhaps in the future. And let's see, this part is a bit more rounded, but you got the kind of framework here, which is close enough. It's not exact, of course, but it's better than any other existing Lego cockpit, window thing that's out there. So I think that's the best match. I don't think the Millennium Falcon, from what I know, would work as well. You got the cannon that sits in the middle, this opening up here, and the wings. You can see that there. Again, that little fin right up there. You can see. So it's all present also in the back. This part, I believe, is where the countermeasures would kind of pop open, fire out, right? Unless it's somewhere up higher, but I thought this should be right about here. And you can see the engine glow, hopefully. It's like up in a little bit of the wings in the back here. And of course, this general shape here. And you can see how it's kind of vented looking. And then look, even like where the, okay, I'll try to remove this carefully. You can see this is probably the back landing gear, and you can see how this is designed, right? And this would be the front one, I believe. It's just based on this texture and shape, and so that would come, maybe they might open out or come down a little bit when it actually lands, but when it's retracted, it's here. And this little round thing, I don't think it's on the bottom, but not a big deal. But these angles around the wing supports, or the structure that moves out. And I was saying like how it has this rounded kind of designed, like right up in here, right by the wings. That was important to capture. And there we go. So I'm going to set this back down carefully. And we'll take another look at this, and I'll put this in flight configuration. So let me set this off so I don't hit it by accident. So you would just basically start pulling it down, and when you do that, you see that this cannon pops up. It just does. There's no way to keep it down and like closed off and hidden. It just doesn't work that way. And it's a little bit shorter than what's there, but of course this has to drop into this spot, so it is what it is. And then you just, I believe, I'm not sure how many different configurations there are. There's the up for the wings, landed, but when it goes into flight mode, actually, if I'm not mistaken, when it is going, well, I don't think I can angle this enough to do that, even when it's up in this position, but it would be something more vertical like this when he uses a lot of people call them the lightsabers. I think the beam weapon that comes out, those red lasers that come out and he spins around and cuts up those TIE fighters. It would be kind of more or less in this sort of vertical position, but maybe slightly higher, but close enough. But this is mostly going to be displayed in flight configurations. So I'm going to pull this back out, open, and pull it down. And let's see, we're going to lift it up just a little bit. I'm just going to try to angle it pretty close to what I see here, which is essentially flat right here. And then these things just angle slightly down, right? And it'll be something like this. Let's see from the top front. I might have to make an adjustment, but I'm just going to show it to you. Let me back up so you can see it better. And it'd be something like this in flight mode, right? And it looks pretty good. It's got that general detail. Again, maybe there could be some extra different detailing added in here, but this panel opens up so you can access the inside, so it's not that thick. So you know, to maintain the structure, it may need to use these plates. You know, I don't want to add so much stuff that it starts to stick up over the surface plating like this. It should be recessed. I thought maybe there was supposed to be a detail running down the middle here, like this. See how there's like a little channel with some stuff going down there? I'm not sure if I can do that here. The best I can do is maybe add like a dark gray sticker, which I could probably make, have some vinyl. Yeah, you know, like stuff like there's these vents right here, kind of ribbing, and it's kind of simulated here. The cannons stick out about so. And I think what they did here, which I pay attention to for some of the other mocks, is that these wings extend forward enough past the front of this part, because it should stick out, extend past that point. Some of them are exactly lined up to this, which doesn't look right. There's a really nice one that's super detailed, that has all the details right, except the wings are just a bit short because they line up here. And also I think they made this plating come a little bit too much forward and didn't have this as exposed as it should be. Take again, look back here. And so this kind of simulates the kind of ribbing effect that you see on the thrusters. Now, if you went with like a straight, flatter, like brick or plates to fill in these, I don't think you'll get that same effect. It might be a little too smooth, if you know what I mean. And again, I like the angles here. What else is there? There's I see like how the landing gears are, or have that shape on the bottom, more or less like this. So that's about right. It doesn't have that center circle, but like, you know, this doesn't have that, but that's fine. And the front landing gear is approximately here. It might be actually a little bit more forward, but that's okay. I mean, if I needed to, I guess I could extend this and move it up here so that it sort of sits on where the landing gear might, you know, supposedly come out from anyways, but not a big deal. Again, you probably won't be really seeing this much from the underside. But yeah, this is a good size, you know, so you can see compared to my hand and how I'm holding it. It's not crazy big, but it's just big enough, and I think that works. So just to show you some of the features, I showed you the wings and how this pops up, and it does rotate, so you can do that. The pieces I got were a little bit loose, so it got kind of a little rattly, if not easy to spin. So I added a little bit of tape vinyl that I cut to a little strip that's around this the piece that connects in, that you push in, and it tightened it up so it doesn't you know, swivel around by itself. If it was up and open, even if it was recessed, it would probably move a little bit depending on how hard you move this and angle it. There's a door that opens up down here, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure if that's really in the right place, but at least it does have that feature, which is pretty nice, and you actually can go in there. So I'll show you that in a moment. And what else? This opens up, so you can access that, and you can sit the pilot in here. Let's see. Sorry, I wish it wasn't so dark, because again, the light is coming mostly from behind this thing, coming in this way. But anyways, so I got to replace those two panels, as I mentioned. So to get to that, it's nice how this can open up. Zoom out again, just like that, lifts up, and then you got pretty good access to the interior in here. Sorry, it's so dark. hopefully I can brighten this up in post. And I gotta remove that. It's kind of dark, but there's a panel in there too that I mentioned earlier. This I gotta pop off and somehow stick back on there later, but worry about that when I get to it. Luckily, all these are actually panels that snap in here, and actually I could potentially just, let's see here. Yeah, see, it raises up a little bit, and I can snap these out, so I can actually get to that a little bit easier. And the same happens on this side. This lifts up. Oh, and by the way, it's kind of neat how they do like a slight corridor. How they kind of finish off a little roundedness here, and all of this stuff in here. And I showed you that before. There's a bed and a couple of studs so you can make people stand. And I believe it should be, well, let's see, is it hitting his head? It might be, oh, there we go. I think it was mostly hitting this part. I think it, if he was any more far forward, he might, I don't know, it looks like it should clear because his head isn't actually taller than this part. I noticed that it tends to want to lift up, so you have to kind of, there you go, kind of push it in and down, and it would kind of sit tighter like that. But anyways, let's see if I moved him in more. See right there instead. I have as much of an issue. No, maybe he is slightly hitting it. This seems just slightly tighter. Not a big deal. I mean, I don't really plan to dissuade anybody standing in here anyways. So, you know, this is just open if you wanted to play and pose for a moment and wonder if it's a little bit shy of being perhaps long enough to actually sleep in here. Oh, actually, no, you can. Just enough. I'm assuming that's a bed, but if not, it's a lounger. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to show off was one more thing regarding this. Is this held on with two studs, those parts that it holds on to, so you could just lift this off. It's at that side, and like I said, it's only held down by basically this and this piece. So yeah, you got pretty good access here if you wanted to do some kind of play. And again, the ramp does come down, and she meets the floor pretty. This would be flat on the floor, so that's how it kind of looks like. It's more like a slide, but hey, you just pretend. I think that works, and it's pretty good interior, you know. Can't complain the fact that they were able to build in something pretty respectable in here, and it looks like something that even Lego could potentially make. But I don't know, since Andor is out, done, and you know, I saw limited screen time, but what we did see was super cool. I mean, they've done things that have been even more obscure, so I don't see why this still couldn't be a possibility for Lego. But you know, to be honest, not a big deal anymore because we have this, and this more than does the job for making a pretty cool Fondor Haulcraft. I think it looks pretty nicely. Just carefully push this down, and then we'll close this up. And then there's just some. Just make sure it's pretty tight. So sometimes you'll catch like the edges of other plates or bricks once you're securing things down. And you just got to be aware of that, and you feel it. Just kind of slightly nudge it over a little so it can clear it. And this, again, I just push down and into it, and it tends to make it want to, I don't know, because you see this gap here. It's not bad, but I think I can make it tighter by doing just like that, just a little bit. There we go. look, so that's much better. And there you go. Oh, the only, amazingly, out of the whole build, besides having to replace the non-printed parts with the printed ones, as you see here, because this wouldn't have looked nearly as good if I had to use this. Over in here is just way too open, and I wasn't going to paint this or create my own like sticker to simulate this. It's just way easier just to buy it. Besides those, everything was pretty much surprisingly 100% minus this one piece. This I don't know what you call it, this grill piece. They did not have that. I had to commandeer this, borrow it from another Lego set, which I'll find a replacement for. Get one more of these back and put it back to where it belongs. But I wanted to complete this as much as possible. Yeah, they were just one piece short out of everything, and I don't even remember the piece count. I think it's in the thousands. Pretty sure it should be given the amount, but this thing is really solid too. There were some bits that seemed like they were loose fitting, but once you got some other pieces together, it started to hold it together just fine. So that was not an issue. But yeah, this it's very swooshable and solid. There's nothing rattly about it, and it's not. You'll see if you ever built this. It's pretty solidly built. The only thing is you do have to worry about this stuff here. If you start pushing on incorrectly, or in the wrong spots, some parts could pop off, and then you just have to. It's pretty easy to just put them back together. But this might be some of this detailing here, like there's these sections that fit in, and they're just held together by a couple of studs, but because they're fit tightly within enough that it's not an issue. But yeah, that's it. I think this is pretty cool. I think I'll share one more video of this after I've added the control panels back in. Hopefully I can get my other light working so you can really see that better. Get that other piece for the side here. That's that TIE fighter piece that goes here just with the extra detail. I may add a gray stripe or something to simulate that channel that's running along the top of here. And other than that, there's not really much else that needs to be done on this. This T10 is a little bit different. I guess it's supposed to represent something like this, but I may, if I wanted to make this sort of look closer, which wouldn't hurt, maybe replacing this ingot, I guess is that's what this is called, with a dark blue-gray one, this kind of color, that's similar to this, just to give it that detail that it seems to have on this die-cast model here. The only thing I would say is maybe this is longer than this one. This is a little bit more boxier. But, again, this is a play scale version, and, some of the proportions will have to be tweaked. I do wish that maybe, they try to do this here, but, how this part is inset, and it's kind of, and there's a channel here. I mean, they try to simulate it, but it isn't nearly as deep as it is, like long running as it is there. But that's fine. I think overall, this looks the part, and for the build and everything, it feels right, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. Didn't spend a super lot of money on it, and I think it has just enough features that make it worthy for a really nice display piece, and especially from one of the favorite Star Wars series of all time. Andor, and yeah, this ship was probably one of the coolest things from that show. Okay, that's it. So one more video, we'll just revisit the final details of this with the rest of the stuff added on, and that'll be that. Thanks for watching.